Hello, and welcome to Hard Hat Heroines, project highlights from women in construction, with your hosts, Eve and Sarah.
Morwenna, should we explain how we met?
Okay, yeah,
We met at exhibitions and then we just started speaking and
Yeah.
we then just liked each other. Then you gave me some gifts that were like chocolate is the rock.
chocolate gravel.
Chocolate gravel. After that, I was a big fan.
Anyone listening, the way to Sarah's heart is by giving her chocolate, because this came up on the last episode as well, actually.
You've got to bring the red wine as well, I think.
Yeah, this is true. Like unique things. It's one with the other. So obviously lovely to have you on. So I know you well, but do you want to explain how did you become a geotechnical engineer?
So I grew up loving rocks and fossils and collected them from when I was a very small child and still do, much to the husband's annoyance at times, and did geology at university in Plymouth. Didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time, even when I was doing my degree, really. Spoke to a recruiter after I'd graduated who got me an interview for a job in Maidstone. I'd never been to Maidstone. I'd never been to Kent, but it fitted the requirements of cannot be day trippable from Gloucester, which was where my parents were living at the time, and I wanted to make a break. I didn't know what a drilling rig was until my second day in the job, when I got taken out to site and got shown this is a drilling rig. And I was like, oh, okay. And how does that work? Because I had no knowledge at all on that side of things. So yeah, very much fell into it and just discovered I loved it. I really enjoyed being out on site, meeting people, working with so many different types of people and for so many different things, whether it was from big government projects, social housing, to people just wanting to build an extension onto the end of their own properties. Just the big variety of work that I've been fortunate to do over the last 17 years has just been superb. I've then furthered my own learning with doing a master's through the OU whilst I was working, and then a few years ago also getting my chartership and becoming a chartered geologist.
Congrats. My co-founder loves to tell me on a regular basis that he's chartered and I am not. So congrats, it's a big deal. I think you're really saying about like seeing the rig. I think we forget so much. It's like what we're taught. And then actually when you get to site, you're like, this is how it actually works. And I think sometimes that can be seen as something that's scary. But the majority of the time, usually people are happy to share information. They're not expecting you to know how to use it. But it's that inquisitiveness to ask. How did that go? So when you asked, what is this? How does it work? What does it do? How did you find the response?
To be honest, depending on which drillers you were speaking to. But on the whole, I've found generally, and especially actually now as well, that you start asking questions to people about what they do and what they're really knowledgeable about. They want to share. They love the fact that I just go, what does that do? And what's that called? They love that because it means they can then share their knowledge with somebody else. And I think the fact that I am quite enthusiastic about it and I genuinely do want to know and I want to understand comes across when I'm asking questions. So I've always had a really good rapport with people on site. I'm perfectly willing to acknowledge that I don't know, which has always helped.
Not having the bravado. And then now you have had in the last 12 months quite the career switch.
I was in site investigation consultancy for 16 and a half years. About this time last year, I was thinking, I've stopped learning. It felt like every project, whilst it was different, it wasn't. It felt like it was the same, just copy and paste almost. And coming up to a big birthday in a couple of years, I was just like, I don't want to feel like I've stopped learning. And that was a real big thing for me. I was working in such a small consultancy that there wasn't the space to go out and do some really big projects or anything like that. So I wanted something challenging. So I applied for a job with the Office of Rail and Road, who I had never heard of, but they wanted a geotechnical engineer. So I was like, that's definitely what I am. And if you've got chartered, that's even better. I was like, got that, cool, okay. So went through the process initially of just the online application, which was challenging. Then went through an interview process, which was definitely the hardest interview I've ever done in all my years, including having to do a presentation on things that I didn't really know a huge amount about with regards to earthworks and the railways. and was offered the job, which was incredible. So I now work a geotechnical engineer as the regulator for the Office of Rail and Roads. I go out and look at projects that Network Rail are undertaking, whether that's big capital investment schemes like Brownie Curve up in Durham is a really big earthwork scheme they're doing at the moment. But it's also when events occur, it is going out and having a look and also trying to understand why, but it's looking at things from both a safety and an economic regulator perspective. It's incredibly different. I still get to go out on site and see people, which is very important for me. I have known probably since I was a teenager that I could never do a standard 9 to 5 office job. It's just not me at all. And I'm just slowly learning. Things are a lot slower in regulation than they are when you're the subby. That's for sure. But it's really great to be able to apply the knowledge that I've learned over the time that I've spent on the tools and being out on site to regulating. And I think I've found that's worked really well, building rapport with people on site and talking to them, because they know that I haven't just sat in an office and looked at things, that they know that I've been there, I've been on site, I've done that logging, and I'm aware of all the intricacies involved with trying to deliver a site investigation.
It lends to that credibility piece, right? But for those that don't know, the ORR is a big deal. But now the treatment from rocking up, going from a subby to working for the ORR, you must get like the red carpet rolled out, and the people would follow you, asking to make you tea.
Pretty much. It's slightly disconcerting still, even though a lot of people think of the ORR, they think of the inspectors, because they carry warrants in the same way that the HSE do, and they can prosecute in the same way the HSE can do. But I don't carry a warrant. One of the first things I'll often do when I rock up is, no, I'm just an engineer. I just want to come and look at your soil. I want to see what's going on. I want to see what's happening. I don't have a warrant card, guys. It's fine. But it's still a very different reception to, when I was a subby, definitely. And it's amazing how many people suddenly rock up on site when I go, oh, can I come and look at this? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Next thing you know, you've got 8 people following you. Do you all need to be here? Are you all here because I'm here? This is very strange.
You were saying just before the call that someone had said to you, how do you like being the Pied Piper? And you kind of turned around and, oh, okay. Everyone really is following me.
It's very strange. But I think because I have been on site enough, I can spot things though. If people are trying to pull the wool, for want of a better description, that's just not going to work on me, because I've been there, I've done it. No, guys, no, you haven't got a chance.
It's not my first rodeo. Not my first rodeo. Okay, so you have selected quite a few different photos and a very interesting video. Let's bring them up.
Yeah, the bottom one is first time I was ever in a hard hat, actually. Now living in them regularly. It was our first field trip within the first month of being at university. I remember a very long coach journey to Cornwall, which really wasn't very long because it was from Plymouth. Don't play drinking chess the night before. We spent a week looking at the Lizard Peninsula, where you can see all of the rocks that come up from the mantle upwards, basically. It's a great photograph that one of my friends took of me on the rock, taking a photograph. And I'm pretty sure if I could zoom in on the picture, which you can't because it would just pixelate, because this is from 2004, there's probably a pencil or something in the picture for scale purposes, to be able to see the igneous intrusions within the rock. And then the other one is this second photograph of me sitting cross-legged is at Kings North Power Station. I spent 6 months there within my first year on the job, mainly digging trial pits. I worked with a wonderful JCB driver called Albert, who took the photograph. He brought his camera out to site one day, because it was digital cameras. We didn't have cameras on phones. He took that photograph at one point where I think we were sitting waiting for an ecologist to look and see whether we had any more of these great crested newts. It was a really fun time on site. My first winter on site, which was cold. Years later, my parents acknowledged to me that they're like, yeah, we were a little bit worried as to whether you'd make it through your first winter, because you really don't like the cold. And I was like, no, you're right, I don't, but layers. And as I've got older, really good thermals. And M&S thermals, best thermals I've ever had. So yeah, just spent 6 months on site working with this JCB driver who would get out and he would help me take big bulk bag samples and all sorts while we were there. The carbon capture technology didn't really come about in the way that then I think would be Labour government wanted. The whole project sadly got scrapped. Spent 6 months on site. We drilled boreholes down to about 150 meters or something, and nothing got built there. It's still deserted land, which is a bit of a strange one.
That's the whole gig around, even on my past projects. It's let's go resurvey the same thing that was done probably circa 7 years ago, but no one can find the information
Of course
or the
not.
survey. And it's, oh, back we go to subcontractor X to ask them to resurvey the same thing. And they're like, redo another trial pit.
Yeah.
You got afraid in your first hard hat. That's pretty cool.
I remember that waterproof coat being dreadful. That was a bad time to discover that your waterproof coat is not very waterproof, though.
Yeah. And then
I love that it looks like you're rock climbing there with a lid on, and you do rock climb, right? Which feels for a geotechnical engineer like the perfect hobby. Very apt.
Yeah, it's only something started in about the last 5 years. Just husband persuaded me to go one day. I was just like, I'm not really sure about this. But during lockdown, he built a home climbing wall for us. And he was like, buy any holds you want. Go and find holds. He'd forgotten his wife is a geologist. I bought real rock holds. And he was just like, no, these don't fit. They don't have the right size bolt in. I was like, any plastic hold, any battery made hold. Oopsie.
So tell me about these.
So 2 different projects here. One on the left with concrete surround still in. It was an interesting little project. It was a really nice reuse as well because it was an old petrol station that had been abandoned, changed into a car wash like many of them are, and is now actually a block of retirement flats. The tank had been removed despite the concrete surround in the bottom picture. Once we'd removed the concrete surround, it was still badly contaminated. So it was a lot of work. One of the issues we had, all of that water is not groundwater. That's rain that was then just sitting on the clay and then became contaminated because the ground was contaminated. It was a bit of a nightmare as we then ended up having to, as well as deal with the contaminated soils, which was fairly expected and fairly standard, the contaminated water wasn't. We had to get that pumped out, removed from site and cleaned and everything else prior to it being able to be taken away. Even though you know that, yep, fine, we've removed the petrol tank, it's probably going to have some overspill because it's a really old one. But you then don't think, oh yeah, it's then going to chuck it down with rain and we're then going to have a load of water to deal with because we're in clays. Let's have a think about this then. Where do we go from here? But yeah, found a company that's based down near Southampton that will come and suck up your contaminated water and then they put it through various filtration and it can then be disposed of without it being contaminated anymore, which is good.
What about the trenches on the right?
Oh, the trenches on the right was something I spent many months doing. I moved companies back in 2014, 15, I think, national consultancy. And one of the jobs they had was a deal with a national house builder to inspect 50% of all of their foundations, so dug on site prior to them being poured, because there'd been a couple of high profile incidents, I'll go with, of houses moving following construction, especially in Kent. There was a very well-known development down here that ended up with NHBC involved and included some that had to be compulsory purchased back from homeowners because foundations were not correct. These 2 on the site near Dover, Deal, that sort of area, where we were in chalk mainly, but we had head over chalk. So even going out to site, we knew vaguely where we were going, but every time I went out, we would say, nope, we need to change the levels again, or we need to add mesh reinforcement in to be able to make sure that we had a stable foundation and weren't then experiencing differential settlement across the plots. And then just to really add to it, on one of them, we then found an old soak that had not come up on any plans. Even the top of the soakaway was a good sort of foot below the current ground level. I had to then go away and redesign, making sure that we weren't putting the foundation near a shear surface and then creating a preferential movement plane across the foundations. Whilst it seemed really easy on paper just to go out and look at some foundation plots, there was often things that did have to be tweaked or changed as a result. And it just showed how varied the ground can be across really small areas.
Yeah. And also just the level of uncertainty of just going down. Even if you do really good surveys early on, you still inevitably come across stuff that to some degree it does require some kind of change. And a lot of the time we don't do a lot of those early surveys anyway. So then when you get to site, there's even more change than what might have been hoped for or assumed.
Yeah, do a site investigation and go, yeah, looking around for foundation depth, but that can then vary on plot by plot, especially in the areas down in Kent where we've got granular superficial deposits lying over the chalk, because you've also always got the risk of solution features and everything like that, which is always fun with the chalk as well, to make sure that you are founding in good competent material across the whole of the property. I actually really enjoyed it. It was really good fun. It had so many different sites that then literally just I'd get a call in the morning, and 9 times out of 10 I said yes. There was one day that I remember not being able to say yes to, because living in a new build property myself at that point, Kent County Council had come out and inspected our road and our pavements when they were tarmacked. Great. Love it. Very happy with that, except he wasn't happy about it and made them dig up the tarmac on both the road and the pavement. It must have been soul destroying for the poor guys, because it was like they were talking about a couple of mil or something. The rumour had it they annoyed him at some point in the build and he was pernickety. However, obviously, I'm guessing the ground workers were annoyed because they'd had to dig it all up and then they were redoing it. They did forget to tell me. I had a quick call from the site agent. Can you come and do this? It was like, that groundworking firm you're using on your site as well, they've just tarmacked my pavement, which goes across the end of my drive. And I won't drive over it anymore unless I want my work tyres just to pop.
Fail, the classic, we need to see it dug back up. If you're going to have to rein me in here as I go on about good video and photo documentation, if you had done it, right, you could hype that, people, you can hype this.
This was an interesting site for many reasons. That is the Millennium Dome, or the O2 in the background. There is the river in between. This is actually in North London on the other side, so round near City and that area that's all been very beautifully redeveloped now. Quite start to plan this site. I was there as a subcontractor to a principal contractor who didn't have enough staff. So I get there to East London for 8 in the morning, get to site, nope, nobody there. Eventually get hold of somebody about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they're like, oh, we didn't ring you, did we? It's like, they're like, the UXO EOD technicians couldn't fit us in, so we're not there. Actually, there's no site work today. We did eventually then get onto site after I'd then called one of my contacts and gone, can you do me a UXO tomorrow? Yeah, sure, not a problem at all. Cracking, thank you. And did then sadly on the way home suffer being told to all get out of Stratford, Westfield, because of a potential bomb threat. I was like, you couldn't write it when I'm there on a mobile phone speaking to somebody about getting a bomb technician to my site. I can't get back to the station easily because I can't walk through Westfield at Stratford because of potential bomb threat. There wasn't one. But it was an interesting site because it's down in the docks. We all know how bad the land around the Millennium Dome in the background is. But with this being on the northern side, whilst it had been industrial, wasn't expecting it to be this bad. We had over 1 metre to 2 metres of really terrible ground. So it does mean that the lovely flats that are now there all have raised planters, because you wouldn't want to be putting grass on this soil. The client didn't expect it to be anywhere near as bad as it was either. So there was lots of chopping and changing and trying to sort out just even like more sample containers and decontamination and bits and pieces like this. We thought we had a really good founding site. We weren't expecting the ground to be black. So it's just one of those ones where you just have to keep on your toes and keep being aware of things, and just shows how much things can change so quickly, especially within London. The contamination is a lot worse than people realise.
Especially as you say in this area. And I mean, for people who are not looking at kind of an image, You don't even need to be a geotechnical engineer to understand that one of the photos is the whole soil sample is it's a dark, very dark grey / black. You don't need a degree to know that something's really wrong with this land.
And if you were there, you could have smelt it as well. But it was just one of those ones again where it was a case of needing to be on top of everything, aware of what was going on, what was needed, and that planning ahead. This is unusual. What does this mean? What do I now need to do to make sure that we still get the good information that we need, that we can also then work out things like gas protection. These soils smelt, and there will be gas protection in those flats. Yeah. It's not like I wouldn't live there. It's fine. I wouldn't live there because I can't afford to live there, as opposed to I wouldn't live there due to the drought.
Yeah. The developer's going to be delighted.
There's so much that's gone on over there. I've gone over recently and just gone, this looks totally different to when I first started coming up to this area of London in 2008. It's all changed from when we were doing Crossrail work around here.
I don't know if you've gone down as far as Barking Riverside, but what they're doing at Barking Riverside, like that development is extraordinary as well. And it's a total change to what it was to anybody like 10, 20 years ago.
No, I did drill some holes there. Barking Riverside, I was like, yep, that's a project. Done that one. I love being able to just drive around places, and London especially, but in Kent as well, and just be like, did that one. And just see these like different developments and things to go, yeah, no, I was involved in that, especially the brownfield sites, which were just old random pieces of land, and you now can see that they've got something on them, or there's a community feel. I actually feel quite good about myself with that as well, because I've helped create something that is improving other people's lives and things. So,
and the classic construction, isn't it? I worked on that. I built that building with my bare hands.
Didn't you do a construction sport marathon in the highlight reel? Like, and I worked on that, and I worked on that, and I worked on that.
Yeah. I told everyone I was working with, hey guys, and stop here for 1 second. I worked on that building. Round of applause, please. On you go. Yeah, it's quite funny. I don't think I was the only one. I think there are a few kind of pointing out the ones who worked on it. It was quite fun.
Yeah. I did it to a colleague the other day. I took her down to Folkestone to look at some bits of geology as a training thing. And yeah, I was just like, and that building, and that development. And I was like, yes, I'm sorry, Folkestone was one of my biggest projects at one point. It was just, there's about 9 different sites here that have all been developed that originally was one package of work.
What am I looking at, Morwenna, on the left?
The left is a lovely Ford tractor. I don't know what type, very old. This is part of Ebbsfleet Garden City. The site had been a big hill with a valley in it, and to create a better area to build on, they knocked the top off one of the hills and put it into the valley. It was a huge cut and fill exercise. We did the original works, cut and fill, and they got all that in and then leveled it out. However, then when we went back to install bits of monitoring equipment to ensure that the cut and fill, like there wasn't any movement or anything, you couldn't really traverse the site whether you were walking or in a normal vehicle, because you'd have just sunk because of the amount of rain and everything else. So in order to help the drillers, especially with filling up a water bowser, the site manager gave me a tractor. I'd never driven a tractor before, but I was like, yep, sure, can't be that hard, can it? It's got some pedals, sure, it'll be fine. I'd driven a JCB once, so I was like, how hard can a tractor be? And yeah, first time towing anything or anything else. But it meant I was actually able to get across the site, and it was really good fun. But it was also very useful and time saving, because it meant I wasn't losing 2 hours to my drillers going off, refilling their bowser and coming back. I was able to do it for them. It was that extra highlight to a project to actually have some way of getting across, because I was trying to walk it for the first 2 days, I think it was, and it was like, this just isn't feasible.
I just wanted to hark back for a second, Morwenna, to what you're saying there about that you couldn't work in just a 9-to-5 office job. That's not for you. I think it's just so cool to work in an industry where you're a geologist, you work as geotechnical engineer, you have a great role in what you're doing as a regulator, and you've been able to do cool stuff like driving tractors.
Yeah. I feel really fortunate when I look back on the last 17 years. I found something I love, I'm so passionate about, and I get paid to do it.
It shows how big you can do anything with a can-do attitude.
I think so, yeah.
You're refurbing a 1924 Talbot right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yep, that technically I haven't driven because we haven't turned it on yet. That is the next step. My dad and I are in the process. It is my car, but he has been helping and it lives nearer him because of space. She hasn't been on the road since the mid 1950s. It's a complete rebuild. We stripped her all the way down to the chassis, took the engine apart completely, have rebuilt all the engine, done all the mechanical side. I've never done anything like it before. My dad had rebuilt his 1935 tool, but with his dad, he was a lecturer prior to retirement. It's not like he was a mechanic or anything. So there's been a lot of on-the-job learning, lots and lots of photographs as well as we took things apart in order to be able to put them back together.
This photo of the shoes, tell me, what is this? Tell me about the photo of these shoes.
So back, I think about 2009, 2010 maybe, Network Rail decided that you could no longer have rigger boots on site. I had loved my rigger boots. They were great, fluffy inside, superb. A friend went, have you seen these? They're pink boots. She knew that at the time I had a pink toolbox. Terrible. Absolutely rubbish. Was not worth it. Was just a gimmick. The only decent thing was some pliers, I think, which do still exist somewhere. However, pink safety boots, I was very much on board with. And this is one pair. I believe they're the pair that now actually that I work on the car in, as they're no longer waterproof anymore. But I've got through about 3 pairs of them. For safety boots, they're very comfortable, not as good as the newest pair that are actually women's safety boots. There was just, whenever I worked with new subbies or people, they're not safety boots, though, are they? Yeah, but they're pink. You can stand on my toes, I can stand on a nail, but they're safety boots. They're just pink. So it's always one of those things that for a long time I was known for on site was having pink safety boots.
I really love that because in construction, sometimes there can be some pressure or there's an idea that we have to leave our femininity at the door. Some of the things that we've talked about, Morwenna, is like working on your car, which is super cool. We talked about how you don't mind doing a bit of cross stitch. You've got your pink safety boots, bouldering, and you've got your construction career. And there's something always feels very true for me around being able to bring that blend and mix of different parts of ourselves through, not try and kind of cut anything off or, oh, better not wear pink. Who cares? You love pink. Wear pink.
I love pink. I can be really girly and I just enjoy it. Sarah knows because she would have seen it. I have various cowboy boots, including some that are pink. As I've got older and felt more secure in my career and things, I think I've embraced it even more in some senses. Weirdly, the tattoo in it actually as well, because there is a whole sleeve.
Whoa.
I only started it after I'd got my chartership. Once I felt secure in my career, I was like, if someone is going to judge me for it, then that's on them. It's nothing to do with them. It's for me. And it's just being authentic. Why should I be hiding that just because I am a woman in construction? I don't think it should make any difference. So I will continue rocking up with the pink boots and everything else.
Guess what? It doesn't magically suck the geotechnical knowledge out of my brain.
No.
I'm still a geologist. I still know about rocks. There's something really authentic about that.
I've always found inside it can be more accepting of individuality in office environments. It can be more judgy. I'm in a shirt with different cacti on it.
I love it.
For me, it's like a fairly bland shirt. Certain office managers and past lives, it's a bit prickly, isn't it? And it's funny, but also not. But it's I want to do the seal. I want to see. I've got to see the video. So, Eve, can we fit one more in?
Yes.
Seal.
So what about was working on Who Island in the River Medway near Rochester. Yeah. It's not really an island. It's where people, the EA especially, used to dredge soil from the base and then it would get deposited on this island. So it became an island over time. The only way to get to the island was by boat. One day we had a seal come up and see us whilst we were on our way to site one morning, which was just amazing that you just wouldn't think that you're seeing it in the middle of the River Medway in Kent. You're like, hey, why is there a seal here? This just didn't seem real. So obviously took a video of it.
There, let's play it.
Right.
As you can see, it's a tiny little boat we're on, obviously with our life jackets, but it was this adorable seal that came up and was like, hey.
I loved
I
him.
just no fear at all. Like, why are
This
you
is
in where I live? Why are you here?
Love it. I absolutely love it. It's great.
Before we wrap up, should we just talk about what's behind you? Because this is pretty cool.
My map, it's a printed William Smith 1815 geology map of the United Kingdom, and it was the first full map that was ever done of the geology. So previous areas had maps, but no one had put it all together as a single piece, basically. So yeah, it shows all the bedrocks and the variations across the UK, which I think shows just how varied the UK is with its geology and therefore all of its different issues with it. But it's just a beautiful, colourful picture that thankfully my husband doesn't mind having up in the dining room. So
So cool. It's amazing.
What a visit. And as you say, the variety you get is just extraordinary. The uniqueness, all the different. Obviously, we've already seen a fraction of some of the stuff you've worked on, but the variety from petrol stations to a seal to your house to the O2, it's just so.
and now even more so with the railways all over the country, including Scotland. I'm seeing lots of things and different types of geology and different issues that I've not had a chance to experience previously, which is great. I'm loving learning all about it.
If anybody was interested to reach out to you,
LinkedIn, I'm on there fairly active, and I work with a few people as a mentor and things as well. And if anyone else wants to know anything about being a woman in construction, engineering, and geotech, happy to chat.
cool. Thank you so
That's
much.
something.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you for being a really wonderful first guest for us, Morwenna on Hard Hat Heroines. Really grateful for you being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Hard Hat Heroines, project highlights from women in construction. We'd like to give a special shout out to our sponsors, Construction Sport, the charity Building Teams and Saving Lives, Centera Project Communication Software, quicker than emails, better than WhatsApp, less soul destroying than paper, and the Tender Trainers, teaching subcontractors how to tender. Subtract the stress, add the profit. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.